Oh. Ha. Oh. Oh. Hmm. Hmm. Oh. Mom? Hmm? Hmm. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Oh.
Ministers feeling gratitude. That future they can't even see. Well, you have one of two choices, to disbelieve or believe. If you choose to be a chronic disbeliever, then you'll find reasons in your life to reaffirm that disbelief. I was just looking at a testimonial the other day. The guy had a 9.5 and it's only transient. And then that lack kind of comes back again. And time when eyes and we ruminate, we take your focus on chemicals of stress or survival and say, what if I lose everything that I have? And those chemicals of stress become addictive, right? And so, not knowing this, many people don't know this, but they're doing this just for some rush of adrenaline. Everything that I have, actually causing your brain to experience more of those emotions, and that is good for you. In fact, you're actually turning on the stress response just by thought alone.
Ah. Ah. Oh. Ha. Ah. Ah. Ha. Oh. Hmm.
Analyze themselves and they overanalyze their lives, even when they have everything that they want. Big fear is, what if I lose it, right? So, right? So influence on my life in some sort of way, right? Sometimes, and I think it's a good thing. And because I'm really everything that it helps me. And a real thing like that. Well, it's normal. I'm pretty wrong thing or make the wrong choice. It's natural for us to have a little bit of a again, I think if it drives you to kind of do more, great. But I don't think it's the ultimate reason why we do things, right? The ultimate desire maybe is not to live the whole life in fear. Of course not. 9 years old. When I was 29 years old, experience in life. That just comes, over time. So as long as the fear doesn't get in the way of you creating the life that you want to get addicted to that emotion, I think it's helped a little bit of fear. Helping them in them. How to stop it? Create success, ever, or abundance. We use meditation as a way to change, right? And so so important to become so conscious that you don't go unconscious to those thoughts. Again, in other words, just because you have a thought, then in meditation you have to become so conscious that you don't go unconscious and let that fear run you. And then how do you behave? Do you stay up and ruminate over those what-if scenarios in your life? That unlearning process, there's only part of it. Then there's a relearning process. Like you have to break the habit of the old self, but then you have to reinvent the new self. So in your meditation, to become familiar with the way then in the reinvention process, what do I want to think? Let me remember how I do want to think in that situation and change in that moment and think different thoughts. And the only way I'm going to be able to think those different thoughts remember what I do want to believe. And if you keep thinking that thought over and over again, nerve cells that fire together wire together, you begin to install the hardware in your brain. But that's not enough. You have to do it enough times that those circuits begin to fire more. What does greatness look like? What would be act of closing your eyes and choosing a different behavior. The research shows, if you're truly present, the brain does not know the difference between the real-life experience and what you're imagining. So the brain begins to fire and wire new circuits. To use, right? And then you have to say, okay, gratitude. Let me see how many times I could bring up the feeling of gratitude. And if you, in your meditation, could bring it up over and over again, remember to feel this way. You keep doing it over and over again, you're making chemicals, right? And if you keep doing it, you can condition. A lot of people just think that they have to stay stuck in there and they try to think positively when they're feeling really negatively, right? And that's not the solution. The work is, okay, now that I'm realizing that I'm struggling in the evenings, remind myself when I feel that fear, and when I start ruminating and I start acting this way, I gotta remember that that's how I used to behave. Unless you rely on something outside of you to change your internal state. And priming your brain and body to have the biology, the circuitry, the chemistry in place. If you keep doing it, you'll begin to choose to think that way more often, choose to act that way more often, choose to feel that way more often. Pick up like statement and theories one by one and go deeper on each of them. Before we start that, do you think like these fears and the things that I'm thinking, I'm in my external environment today, and I don't know. There's so many things which have how it happened, which made me the way I am today. Well, I'll tell you how I see it. For them to review the event or the experience that caused them to be a certain way. I mean, insight really doesn't change behavior. You can say my father was overbearing, my mother was a perfectionist. Experience is an emotion. So the event causes them to feel differently than they normally feel. The stronger the emotional quotient from whatever the trauma or the betrayal or loss is, the more altered they are inside of them, the more the brain freezes afraid.
Oh, ha, 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 ha,
human body as if the event was occurring. The body is the unconscious mind. It does not know the difference between the real-life experience that's creating the emotion and the emotion that person's created by thought alone. The body's now the body is literally living in the past. And it's so objective that it's constantly...
YouTube पे आ रहा है वो लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब कर दो।
Oh! Ah! Ah! Oh! Ha! Oh! Oh! Ah! Huh? Ah? 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 No.
मम्मी को अकेले छोड़ के चली गई है यहाँ पर। मैं तो अभी आया था तुम मैं कहा
Oh.
अल्लाह तरह नाम करके
Ah? Ah? Ah?
हेलो गाइस लाइक एंड
Ah? Ah? Oh! Ha! Ah! Ha! Oh!